Yeah. So I saw Matrix Resurrections again for the second and third time. I can't do that voice. But I did see the Matrix Resurrections again, second and third time on HBO Max. Did it get any better? Well, this is going to be a spoiler review, so just go ahead and be prepared for that. Because if you haven't seen this already, I don't know what have you been doing this whole entire time, watching Spider-Man No Way Home for the fourth or fifth time anyway. So yes, I do like how they took a different direction at the same time, but there's just so many ideas that they could have ran with that they just did not implement correctly. Like, they did not stick the landing. Oh my goodness, I was so excited for this movie. Don't get me wrong, they push hard that this is not the original. This is not going to be the same Matrix that we all come to love. The original trilogy. Should this have been made? I feel like people that have loved the original trilogy might like this movie. The people that did not like the original trilogy, but it liked the original Matrix, but hated Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions, will hate Resurrection. That's just how this feels. I'm gonna tell you like this, meta is going to be all through this movie. After the second and third viewing, it's interesting to see these different concepts come in there. Like, you see, like, they're going to go for it. Like, you see different concepts come to fruition, and you're like, well, they didn't stick the landing properly. So just seeing that everything that we see with the original Matrix being put in a video game was an interesting point. You know, I was like, oh wow, wow. Okay, let's see where we go with this. Well, yeah, I do like if I tell you this, if you watch the movie with subtitles, you do get a little bit more context to certain things, especially with the Merovingian. Oh, you know what? Even though he had a small part and people would crap on him talking about, well, you know, the Merovingian, he just phoned it in or whatnot, but he probably could. But anyway, what he was saying, Merovingian was like, we had grace, you know, we had style, we had conversation, not this bibby whatever he said, bibby. It's like, I feel like Lana was talking to us most of the time. That's how I feel like in this movie. Lana was talking to everybody in the movie most of the time. Like, I was like, the movie is good, but it's not bad. That's how I still feel. The movie is good, it's not bad. Should it have been made? I feel like it's a Last Jedi type of feel. I just was disappointed. Put it that way. You know how, like, you if you have kids and you want to see them succeed, and then, you know, they get in trouble and you just feel a certain kind of way, and you're like, you're not mad or you're not angry, you're disappointed. That's how I feel about this. I'm just disappointed. After seeing the second time, you do get some more context on why the Matrix is been rebooted and who Neil Patrick Harris' character is, which is supposed to be the new analyst. I don't feel like he's a new analyst. I think there's another analyst out there, but he said his predecessors, so maybe he is an analyst. I think someone else is there above him. I don't know, it's just the way that whole interaction at the end felt. This movie feels like, it's like, you know, you sit here and try to bounce ideas off of someone, and, you know, and then they talk and you're like, you know what, you got something here, okay, bet, let's see what you have to say, and they just keep talking. Oh no, you just making shit up, you just talking out your ass. That's kind of how I feel this movie does. After watching the film the second and third time, I do understand the movie a lot more. There are things in this movie that are great, but there are some things about this movie that's just pretty damn bad, because there is a lot of meta storytelling here. It is really hard to make a movie to be meta like this. This movie, if you ever seen Wes Craven New Nightmares, that's kind of how meta this movie is. Like, the Nightmare on Elm Street series is about Freddy Krueger coming at you in your dreams. The whole Matrix films is just a lot of dream world. So these two franchises with the whole dream world aspect, you know, what's real and what's not, that whole concept, it could be effective with messing with the audience. That's what the first Matrix did in a very good way. But with this one, this movie does it too, but it's following up with the original Matrix. And the issue is it's Neo kind of retracing his steps again, and it's like rehashing all this stuff again. I'll tell you what I did like. So I did like this whole concept when I said these are different ideas in the beginning. I did like how the machines tricked Matrix to think that he was a video programmer, a software programmer for a huge video game that allowed him to create this massive universe and made him believe that he was the creator of this whole game that we originally knew of the Matrix trilogy. And you know, I thought it was a good concept. Did they stick the landing like I said earlier? It's up to you guys to figure that out. I'm just wish they could have did it better. Now, after seeing it, now there are some choices I understood about Morpheus. Morpheus is a model of Morpheus' memories and code and Agent Smith's memories and code that subconsciously Anderson, Thomas, Neo programmed subconsciously somehow to wake him up in case he gets plugged back into the Matrix. Problem is, I want to know when that whole thing happened. When did he decide that he was going to program and create this model within the program? When did that happen? Because they dive into it just a little bit, and apparently there was another part of the Matrix before they deja vu'd him, where he took off. He stepped off the ledge and he flew, and Bugs saw that. But somehow they revamped it, or he did a deja vu and he went back to where he started at. Anyway, but they never talked about how he was able to just subconsciously build this model and have programming information of Smith and Morpheus, which I understand because Morpheus is really not Morpheus. He's a machine, because the original Morpheus died back when Matrix Online. But don't get me wrong, I think Yahya Abdul-Mateen did a good job acting as Morpheus. So there was a point where I stated in back in the first trailer, I was like, was there a war between the machines? I was like, because you saw blue and red machines fighting each other. And I was like, I wish they'd have dove into that more. I really wanted to see more about that, because Niobe comes in and said, hey, you know, Zion failed because it felt like they were in their own Matrix, and it's just they create this new city called Io, which is Zion with the Z and the N missing. That's all it is. Or you could look at it as 1 and 0, IO 1 0. The action scenes felt somewhat underwhelming. I can tell you that, because the camera angles and the way they filmed the action scenes did kind of feel lackluster, because when you watch the original Matrix, you see what's going on, because it was like the way they filmed it, you could see what was going on. This felt like a generic action film where everything was like you couldn't really tell what was going on unless you really go back and see it again. I really feel like the best part of the story is when they was not fighting, like when you actually listen to what was going on, because like you find out certain information and you're like, okay, I see what they're going with that, but they didn't stick the landing. So the ending of the movie, the whole motorcycle chase scene was very underwhelming. Like I say, it was just too much going on. It's just I know this is not supposed to be the original trilogy. It wasn't the worst action scene ever. It's just the swarm mode. I don't know. It felt like the whole zombie thing with the swarm mode. So it was, you know, I feel like the motorcycle sequence from Reloaded was a lot better than this, if you want to be real. So it just felt like it's a step down. Look, Lana tried, and they didn't explain how. They never explained how Trinity got the powers of the One. The only thing I could think of is when they was trying to plug Bugs in, maybe somehow it unlocked it because her and Neo were together, and maybe Neo imprinted a code off onto her. So when Bugs was in there and they was trying to, you know, unjack her, and you saw her do that phase, whatever it was, it was like 4 different variations of her. That's the only thing I could think of, because they never explained on how she ended up becoming the one. Unless you go back to the original trilogy when they thought that she was the one originally. I don't know. I just can't remember. I have to go back and watch the original trilogy, because they thought Trinity was the one at first. Yeah, because, you know, like what happened with Smith in the original Matrix, Smith got some of Neo's code and he became the virus or whatnot, because he ended up being free from the whole thing, but he wanted to take over, so he became the virus. So Jessica Henwick as Bugs was fine. She was one of my favorite characters as well. So her acting performance was fine, but I think his name is Jonathan Groff as Smith. He didn't really sound like Smith. The mannerisms that Hugo Weaving would do it just wasn't there. It just wasn't. He just felt weird. And the only time he called Mr. Anderson is when he yells out, "Mr. Anderson!" And then they got looped back after the deja vu. And after that, he just kept calling him Tom. It just felt weird. It did not feel like Hugo Weaving's Agent Smith. It really didn't. The music was kind of lacking. Not really hitting. It wasn't nothing infamous like from the original trilogy that made you like sit on the edge of your seats and you're like, okay, what's going on? Yeah, it wasn't none of that. It was just another basic story, you know. But like, don't get me wrong, I did like the meta stuff, but it was only for like the first half of the movie. But Jada Pinkett Smith felt like she kind of really phoned it in. But I mean, she was playing an older version of herself in the movie, so she felt like she was just being grouchy all the time. Like, she was just so basic. I just didn't like her being grouchy all the time. Like, no, I'm trying to save us. No, I don't know. I'm locking you up. Like, what? Anyway, but Bugs' whole team didn't really care about him. You never really cared about Bugs' team. You really didn't. It was just some generic team. I don't even remember their names. Like in the first, you had Cypher, you had Tank, you had Pac, you had all them. I remember them, but I don't remember none of these cats' name in this movie. It's so crazy. I was thinking about that. Like, I don't care about her team. The only person you remember is Bugs. But in this movie, it just didn't work for me. I just didn't care about him. So now we're back into like what the original Matrix was. With this movie, the way it ended, we're back to the original Matrix. Like, now Trinity and Neo have God powers and they're going to rebuild the Matrix in their own image. And I don't know where they're going to take the story from here. Like, this movie is so meta. They say we're going to make this movie with or without you regardless. Apparently Warner Brothers, the parent company, like they stated in here. I don't know. They might. I don't know. Maybe they can come back from this and do more lore building. But I don't know how they're gonna come back from this unless both of them come back in and direct this and do it in a proper way. But I mean, it's possible. They can come back and bring it back. We've seen movies come back and the sequels are a hell of a lot better than it's a sequel trilogy, so I don't know. There was one thing that really irked my nerves that I just thought about. The new bullet time that they explained. It looked like what Quicksilver tried to do in X-Men. You know, in the Fox X-Men, where he runs around and moves stuff around. But they did it a lot better. I don't know why it looks like something from the Flash. It literally looks like they took the CW Flash and went with that. That's what they look like. It looked like how they do the cinematography for that, they look like they took that and just implemented in their own movie, because it looks so off. It looks off. It really did. After seeing it the third time, I understand and respect what the filmmakers was going for. There are some scenes that I've really enjoyed and loved. Like for instance, there's a scene where he's training Neo in the dojo, and he was telling him to fight for it. I really enjoyed that scene because it really resonates with you, you know, it on a personal level. Some of this stuff it makes you think. And you know, it like Spider-Man No Way Home was a fun movie. It was a good time, you know. This movie didn't feel like that. Like, I'm not trying to compare it to anything, but this movie didn't feel like it was a good time. Like, Neo's character did not evolve whatsoever. It's like he's going through the whole he's going through the same thing over again, and it just felt like it was really lackluster. I was hoping this movie would be a good time. There are some good moments, but it wasn't a good time, if you understand what I'm saying. Like, so to me, that just feels like that is a weakness of the film. Ultimately, I don't hate it. I thought I was going to hate it, but the second and third time after watching it again, then it's a lot better. It's a mid movie. It's a mid-tier movie. It's very mid-tier. So they try to recapture the magic, but they didn't really stick the landing. So it's like catching lightning in a bottle. They try to catch the classic in the original film, but hey, I don't know what else to say, but if you haven't seen it already, go ahead and check it out. What did you guys think? And, put it in the comments below. But until then, I will see you motherfuckers later. Tell somebody you love them, and I will see y'all in the next video or stream. Deuces.